from a personal note, sometimes you're a little bit afraid of saying the wrong thing. If you're a decent person, you should know how to conduct yourself, which I'd like to think I do. But we live in changing times, and things change, and language that was acceptable 25 years ago is not acceptable now. And that's, I feel, personally, that's things that we definitely need to be educated on.
Even though, as Martin said, it's quite scary knowing exactly what to say, it's just getting that confidence from Chris that actually it doesn't always matter. Like, as long as we have good intentions, then actually, you know, a lot can be forgivable.
It's not about right or wrong answers. It's about recognising that we are all different. We all have different values, different ways of seeing the world. And particularly around the language bit, that can be really tricky. Sometimes we will get the language wrong, and that's okay. I want to take away that fear that anybody has, that if I say the wrong thing accidentally, I'm going to be cancelled, I'm going to be called racist, sexist, or homophobe, just because of something I thought was the right thing to say, but I got it wrong.
I just think we have to, in certain situations, be very careful about being disrespectful or discrimination. But I think more importantly, we can't be afraid of hearing it and saying that's unacceptable.
You're the youngest riders that are amongst us here today. Georgia, have you ever had experiences where you felt quite upset, or you found it actually really helpful when an older rider's stepped in and spoken to you?
Yeah, I think everyone sort of has their fair share of sort of telling off when they're starting out and stuff, but I think you should really appreciate it, you know, when one of the older lads or lasses sort of pulls you aside and tells you, you know, you've done this, you've done that. That's sort of when you're learning, you know. I've been quite lucky, sort of, there's jockey coaches and stuff now that help you as well, but I think really it's just, you know, they're trying to help you out, so you should respect that.
The culture has always been, you kind of take them under your wing, the younger lads and girls, and speak to them after races and tell them where they might have gone wrong and what they've done. And sometimes that, I feel lately, that's being interpreted as almost bullying, and it's unacceptable to do that.
Hannigan did the same to me. He sat me down, I remember around Beverley. Yeah. And it was the best thing he could have done. Sat there, just in front of the TV and said, watch this.
It's the quickest way you
see
learn,
what you've done wrong there. And I, yeah. And he said, right, don't do that again.
And if that's done in a respectful way?
Done.
For me, it's all about being professional and respect. There are always going to be disagreements. And I'm not saying we all have to be nice to each other all the time. You know, people aren't going to get on in the weighing room. If the line is crossed for respect and it's unacceptable, then yes, that is when we need to step in.
You're always going to get something's going to go wrong. You're going to cross the line. But he said you just need people almost there to say, oi, rein that in a bit, mate.
And it doesn't have to be confrontational. I think that's the thing. Yeah. People think that if I call out something that I'm not comfortable with, then it's going to lead to conflict. But it doesn't have to. It can be really respectful. Just say, actually, come on, you know, do you know what, today I'm not okay with that. Yeah. That's all it needs to be. We don't have to make people feel bad. We don't want people to feel bad about themselves.
I think there needs to be a balance between like self-policing an environment, which is, you know, what you're saying about senior jockeys, and I think on, you know, a lot of occasions that works well. But as a professional sport that needs to modernise and be more professional, we need clear sort of rules, like a code of conduct, when unfortunately sometimes people have overstepped the mark, and it is there in black and white that is not acceptable.
But I suppose it's up to us as well, to where there are people who are maybe abusing their power and abusing that sort of being a senior rider in the weighing room and over-egging certain situations. I suppose it's up to us to create a situation where we can call them out for being inappropriate, and then it becomes safer for the people who are doing it in the right way to educate the younger jockeys in the right way, because we won't be associated with the people that are doing it in the wrong way, I suppose, a bit as well.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It needs to strike a balance. And
talking of balance and culture, banter in the weighing room, when is it fine when you're having a laugh, Georgia, with someone and things are going well and everyone's enjoying a bit of a joke, but when does it become a moment when you're feeling like, actually, this doesn't feel like it's fun anymore?
I'm sure it probably does happen, you know, now and then. I think obviously you've just got to try and, you know, not make it personal. If you're having a laugh, you know, sort of keep it that way. Don't try and, you know, purposely upset people, I suppose.
It's tricky.
Banter's a word we've all used, and it's knowing where to draw the line, because banter between me and Will might be different to what you would accept, or David. It's like, it's knowing what's banter and what's plain wrong, isn't it?
And then my line with you could be here one day, but if I'm having a particularly bad day the next day, what I would the previous day have accepted as banter could hit a really raw nerve that day, you know. So it's really tricky even between two individuals. Yeah.
Like
one day your line's here and the next day it's
reading
there.
the room. If I walked in, I could see you weren't in a great place.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have the same sort of banter I would as if I see you walking laughing and giggling.
I think everybody's got to judge it for themselves. I mean, there's been scenarios in the past. There was a jockey who we knew he had a bit of an issue with his weight, and every time he went to the tea room, we'd take the mickey out of him, or you're getting some more chicken nuggets or something. And it got to the point where you've got to realise, hold on a second, come on, this is like too much now.
There's no hard and fast rule about banter, but I think my advice this morning was, by all means, yeah, have a laugh, have fun with each other, but I would advise you to be careful when banter wanders into that sort of content around identity. I think it's quite dangerous territory, because you might unwittingly, you know, end up being accused of homophobia, sexism, racism, just because of something you thought was a bit of a laugh. And we don't mean to be offensive, but it can be, when it feels personal like that, it can be quite hurtful.
And I think, like you said, persistent. If you're on and on and on, even if it's something slight at the start, it snowballs, builds up, and it eventually will get to you.
Yeah, we've all done it, haven't we?
And that's really important that you said, yeah, we all cross that line from time to time, and that's okay, as long as we recognise when we have, and hopefully don't do it again if somebody says to us, actually, I'm not okay with that.